Welcome everyone to the first ever Sherwin-Williams Virtual Social Media Conference. I'm Christine Rich with Sherwin-Williams, and I'll be your host for today's event. Today, we will speak to a wide range of experts to discuss the basic functions of popular social media platforms and how you can use them to grow your paint business. We will also discuss specific tools that Sherwin-Williams offers to help you on your marketing journey. We know you work hard on your business, and we're here to help make generating business a bit simpler for you. Stay with us for the live Q&A at the end of the program, and make sure to post your questions and comments in the Q&A section. And you might even be rewarded with a special surprise. In today's first panel, we will cover the basics of how social media can help you engage existing and potential customers, and how to begin building and growing your company's digital brand. Sherwin-Williams social media manager Taylor Horan will host our first discussion. She's joined by Nick Slavic, host of the popular weekly Facebook live show, Ask a Painter, and Austin Hauser of Base Coat Marketing, the company that provides painting contractors with marketing support.
Welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you here with us today. I'm Taylor Horan, our social media manager at Sherwin-Williams, and I'm so excited to be joined by Nick Slavic of Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company and Austin Hauser of Base Coat Marketing Company.
Thanks for having us.
So today we're going to chat with the two
good.
of you about social media marketing, which channels you leverage, and how to build your audiences there. So I will kick it over to Austin to start this conversation. So Austin, can you please talk a little bit about which social media channels you use for your business and which you recommend painting companies start with and why?
So the short answer is all of them. There's something called omnipresence in the world of marketing, and it just basically means you need to be everywhere and have as consistent messaging as possible. So your audience, no matter if they're business owners on the B2B side or homeowners on the B2C side, they're all on all of these platforms at one time or another. So the bottom line is you should invest your time into all of them if possible. I think the real key comes down to investing your time into which platform is going to generate the best revenue for you first.
Yeah, and likewise, from the point of a view of a painting contractor who needs to spend some marketing money, or maybe even not, but get a huge ROI, you want to look for concentric circles of the most omnipresent, like Austin said, and also where your core demo is. And then you want to look for the cheapest ROI on that. So again, we can look at all the Snapchats, the TikToks and things like that. And I don't know if one is good or bad, but it certainly self-selects among certain demographics as well. So just selecting which demographic you want to go for. Typically clients will be on Facebook and Instagram. And if I'm recruiting, we'll start looking for some of the Snapchat and TikTok and stuff like that.
Which channels did each of you kind of kickstart your business with, and why did you choose that platform to start with?
So at Base Coat Marketing, we have a core value. It's called Be the 20%. If you've ever heard of the Pareto's principle, it's the 80-20 rule. So basically 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. And I think where most business owners fail is they'll put all of their time and energy into one platform without really understanding the fact that there's only going to be a few out of all of the different options out there that are going to generate most of those results. So for us, it was Meta. So if we look at Facebook and Instagram, it's easy because you have one platform that kind of knocks out both of those. And I think the newest stat is 40% of the entire Earth's population is on that platform every day, which is just insane to even think about. But there's things like LinkedIn. So if you're on the business side, commercial in particular, that could be a great place to fish as well. But really, when we look at just what's the lowest effort, highest reward, Facebook and Instagram are going to be the game changers.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, my business has been around for 16 years, and Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, Facebook wasn't even around then. So I've had my foot in a couple worlds of when I started my business, it was Yellow Pages and newspaper, and then Facebook showed up. So when you say, hey, why did you select Facebook? Because it was the only one, and we started posting on there, and that's been a very good getting in on the ground floor, you get a lot of grace for trying new things in new areas, and just being there, being present, doing stuff all the time is a great strategy.
I think sometimes business owners may get overwhelmed with all of the options of social channels to choose from. So you want to be everywhere, but how do you make sure that you're not spreading yourself too thin?
The bottom line is there's only a few channels that are going to produce most of your results. You can definitely invest your time into things like TikTok. It's a younger demographic. So when we look at homeowners, for instance, on the residential side of the painting world, the younger homeowners may not be able to afford your services. You want to kind of keep in mind that there's going to be a market out there. It just might be a smaller market of your overall target audience. So really, when we look at, let's say, the residential side of the painting industry, Facebook and Instagram have most of the audience that are most active most of the time. So your time's going to go further there. Your dollar's going to go further. Whereas things like TikTok, you might have to put a little more time and energy into that. But there are strategies out there where if you invest your time into one piece of content, you can distribute it much easier these days. And content distribution, Nick Slavic here has that pretty well nailed down. If you've ever seen Ask a Painter live, it's everywhere, right? And it's not because he has to repost that over and over and over again or create different pieces of content for each medium. You just simply take one piece of content and share it as far and wide as you can.
Yeah, there's a great strategy that I learned 20 years ago. It's called force multiplication, right? And if you can do one thing and leverage it over many things, it's just beautiful. So some of these platforms make it easy for you. Like Meta, you can get in there and schedule organic posts for free on Instagram and Facebook. You can schedule them out. I mean, Austin, 45 days, something like that. I mean,
yep.
You can put a lot of track in front of you, and that's all free, right? To curb burnout, force multiplication is the way to do that. So yeah, I think that's a strategy that we've done too, where one piece of content can go across almost all the platforms pretty easily nowadays. And there's even apps that can force it out even farther into those.
Austin, you just mentioned Nick's Facebook Live. So Nick, I wanted to ask you about that. Your Facebook Live called Ask a Painter. This is something you've been doing for quite a while. Can you talk a little bit about how that idea came to be and how it's been successful for your business?
Yeah, so again, going back to the strategy of you get a lot of grace to be the first person over the mountains taking the arrows, it's the same thing, which is literally I went live for the first time that Facebook offered a live, and that was the advent of Ask a Painter Live, and I think we're talking 8 years now, right? So you get a lot of grace, and especially with that type of platform being live, you get more grace as well. What people don't know me for is highly edited, highly choreographed, things like that. It's literally like you're seeing a passionate person being as genuine as they can, just speaking to humans on the internet consistently. So it's been a very good thing because number one, first across the mountains is a good strategy. Number two, you're in a area of high target opportunity, which is there are not a lot of people out there doing it. There's not a lot of content creators in the house painting world, let alone people who are going live, making it easy for people to trip across. So again, what you're not getting from me is the most highly polished, crazy stuff there, but what you are getting is just consistent, genuine content all the time. And I think that's the best strategy.
Yeah, consistency is so key. We see that on our channels as well. Do you feel like there is a time and place for highly produced content, or do you feel like you get better engagement when you post content that is more raw and authentic?
Well, it kind of depends who you're after, what the mission is, but within Ask a Painter is a business with 4 verticals in it, and one of them is content creation. So I will do an 85-hour project where you're capturing film for days. There's I think one piece of content I did this last year had 1,400 edits in it over the course of it. So yes, that is possible. But what you're looking for is when PR firms and marketing agencies and things like that ask you for stuff, that's what they want. They don't want off-the-cuff live stuff. So when you're going for a demographic to potentially connect and sell and expand other brands, I think highly polished is more consumable. It's more relatable. But let's say you're trying to connect with other master craftspeople and paint business entrepreneurs across the country, and they feel lonely and they feel unsupported. And here's a guy talking to them in real time about doing the thing they actually do. That literally is like, you can't get a better platform than live. You are a genuine connection live. You're talking to a human. So it depends what you're going for.
Do you find yourself interacting then in the comments, afterwards or even in real time during those live events?
That's the whole purpose. I mean, literally ask a painter live. You ask a painter live. And that's like the thrill of a lifetime. I started that show so I can fire this up and I can connect with other nutty master crafts people and paint business entrepreneurs across the world. And literally, I mean, Austin has seen this too. Like the more we lean into social media with this stuff, we're connecting people in Brazil and England and China and Australia. And people, I mean, I didn't talk to painters 5 minutes from my house, one town over, because they were the enemy years ago. That's how I was brought up in the industry. And now social media has broken down all the walls of that. And there's camaraderie and connection, and we're sharing. And it has really like enlightened me as a craftsperson and an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that free education in a way. People can just go to Facebook and learn from each other. So
That's it.
That's amazing. Austin, you host a podcast called the Base Coat Brainiac podcast. Can you talk a little bit about how that idea came to be, why you chose a podcast format, and how that's expanded to YouTube, and what that has meant for your business?
Yeah, so I first want to touch on a few things that Nick mentioned there, and that is the fact that collaboration is what everybody at the top does, all right? Competition's for the bottom. So if you really want to grow your business and become a better human, you have to collaborate with others, even if they are your direct competition. I have my direct competition on Slack because we look at elevating this entire industry together. You aren't going to do that with competition. And authenticity, we are a marketing agency, so we run a data-driven company. And authenticity sells. We have tested this over and over and over again, 100 different ways. We actually created a commercial for our company. The ad campaign that performs better is the one that we shot at the PCA in Orlando in February. And it's just very unedited, right? And it's because people like authenticity. They like to be able to have that connection. And it's difficult to do when you have a lot of edits and cuts and it looks really polished, right? We're so used to seeing that on TV that we just kind of glaze over when that comes through. So authenticity, you have to lead with that. But getting back to your question, our podcast is not something I started by choice. It was something that I was pushed into by everyone I knew at the time, and I'm very grateful for it. But it gave, it's something that fills my cup. It gives me energy at the end of the day. But starting a podcast was something that I did not have on my radar. It's something that if you do it right, it is a commitment. To Nick's point, you need consistency if you want to deliver any sort of long form content to your audience. And I never start something I don't finish. So I did end up taking that step into the podcasting world, budgeted my time for all of that, jumped in with both feet. And, it's something you have to get over yourself, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people who create content look at themselves and think that this is something that's going to be for them. It's not. It's not for you. It's not about you. Our podcast is simply designed to elevate people to be able to contribute back to others, right? If I'm able to elevate some others to have the motivation and the confidence and the drive to contribute back to their community, there's no greater mission in life. So basecoatmarketing.com/request if you want to jump on, /podcast if you want to listen in. Highly recommend it. But I tell you that backstory because it's an example of what execution looks like. I tell our team all the time that you can know what to do, but not do what you know. And execution is greater than knowledge. So when it comes down to it, if you feel like you have a message to tell others that could benefit them, it's not about you. Remember, this is the long form content play. It's something that on the other side of that equation is sunshine and rainbows, but it doesn't look that way along the path. So what I recommend is just get started. Pick a topic, pick something that you feel like your audience is going to care about. It's a pain point. It's something that excites them. Know who you're talking to and don't make it about you, make it about them.
Austin, as someone who, owns this marketing company that specializes in advertising for painting companies, you are well aware that on social media you can have both paid and organic content. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between those two and the type of content that works best for each, and how you would recommend some of these business owners get started with paid ads on social?
So there's two forms of content on social media when you just break it down to its simplest form. One is going to be organic and the other is paid. You either pay for visibility or you exchange your time in the form of content creation for visibility. Those are the only two ways to get eyes on your content. When we look at what it takes to get you eyes organically, it takes time, a lot of it. So Nick, on average, how much time do you invest in social media, let's say on a weekly cadence? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I would say, well, if you throw in the social media show, we're probably looking at 2 hours a week.
So, I mean, we're talking a significant amount of time there, right? And
Yeah.
my recommendation is if you have the time to invest at least an hour a day, that's what we recommend budgeting for organic content. Invest it. It's something that there is generally going to be a payoff. It's not guaranteed. That's the one caveat with social media is you could invest an hour a day for an entire year and still not see anything from that, right? It's definitely, there's a little bit of luck involved. To Nick's point, the earlier you buy into that, the better the payoff is on the other side. But most of us as business owners don't have that time to work with. We haven't had the processes established yet, right? We have to manage people and clients and jobs and projects and fires to put out. So that's where the monetary side of this comes into play, the pay to play, the ad campaigns. Now on social media, the benefit of, or I guess the big difference online when we talk about advertising, let's look at Google, for instance. That's what's called intent-based marketing. The buyer intent is there. They are really far down the marketing funnel. They are ready to buy your services. Instagram, Facebook, any sort of social media is what's called interest-based marketing. And so when we look at intent-based marketing on Google, interest-based marketing on social media, interest is going to be further up the marketing funnel. So it's going to be things like people who are maybe aware of your services. They've looked at their kitchen cabinets. They want to repaint them, but they haven't had the conversation with the wife yet. So they just want to reach out, understand how much it's going to cost, when they can get in the door, and then they're going to have the conversation. So it's going to take more education. It's going to take more time to nurture those types of leads. So we look at intent-based marketing on Google as today's lead. Social media is going to be the interest, so that's going to be tomorrow's lead. It's going to take a little bit more time. But the bottom line is, social media, you can acquire leads at a relatively low price point, roughly about half the cost as you would if you were paying for the same type of lead on Google. Because it is a quote-unquote lower quality lead. As long as you have a good sales process, we have clients closing 90% of the leads that we send them from social media. It's not out of the question, just because they have a good follow-up nurture sequence. And there's a lot of good platforms out there, a lot of good processes you can implement. But again, you're either exchanging your time or your money for visibility.
Something that my team and I often talk about is that on social media in the feed, we're competing with everyone's friends and family, right, for attention. So love the way you put that. Nick, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I love the way Austin thinks. Literally, an anachronism in our company is we solve problems with time or money or both, and we need to decide. And it's sort of one of those meta things like, hey, we need leads. Let's spend money on Google. It's like, hold on, let's take a step back. Let's think about the theory about this. Do we want to use our effort or our money or some combination of both? So just being aware of what you're doing, and sometimes people think that the only way to get leads is with money. Sometimes you can do effort. And as companies get more sophisticated and larger, you have to use both. You don't have a choice. Money won't solve it. Effort won't solve it alone. You got to be more sophisticated and do a hybrid.
Yeah, definitely. One other question just came to mind. Nick, when you are going out to meet a customer, do you tell them that you're on social media? Do you have your social media handles on business cards? Or how do you spread the word to get them from the in-person interaction to following you on social media?
Yeah, there's a big misperception about the confluence of my social media reach and my painting business. So if you think about Ask a Painter Live, it is not my clients that are my core demo there. It's literally other paint business owners. So it couldn't be farther away from my clients. I'm actually helping. I don't believe in competition, but I'm out there helping my competition. So people think that I have a line of clients begging to have their house colored by this guy, this omnipresent guy on social media, and that there's a line of young apprentices, decent human beings, standing outside waiting to be led into the apprenticeship program. And I will tell you that is not the case, right? I would say, of my 40 people I employ, there's likely 3 that knew about my social media before they came. And of our 2,500 leads that we're going to get this year, 2,400 have never heard of Ask a Painter. They're not on Facebook, not on Instagram. So it's really like, it's a big misperception there. Now, having said that, for the 100 or 200 people who do know that I'm on social media, they've literally watched all the videos. They've read my website. They've plumbed the depths of all my social media, and they will bring up very specific things. You got a new puppy. His name is Len. Your kid's a varsity dancer in school. So when people are in, they're in. And then there's other people who don't know social media exists.
Right. Yeah, totally. So to kind of wrap up the conversation here, if you both had to summarize what key actions, what best practices you would recommend to painters either just getting started on social media or maybe they've already spent some time there, what would you recommend?
Completely unsatisfying answer, but completely true. 100% answer is just do it. Don't let perfection stand in the way of really good. Be consistent and be genuine. Don't emulate anybody else. You can certainly take inspiration from other people, but being consistent, being genuine for a very long time is a strategy. I have never met another business owner who didn't consistently post at least once a day, at least organically or paid, that didn't increase their following and leads based on that. That is a complete data set. I have never found a painter who consistently posted genuinely on social media that didn't see some change, some benefit.
Yeah, I'll go a little deeper. So, if you want to know why Nick Slavic has so many followers, it's because he is genuine. He's authentic. And he wears his heart on his sleeve. He manages a team of beautiful humans. He's got the genetics with some great facial hair that I wish I had. And, who wouldn't want to work for a guy like that, right? But let's get real. I mean, social media is just a large psychological human experiment. And there's really two paths for visibility on there. We've already talked about the paid and organic. But the algorithm, as we all know, favors conflict and negativity. And there's a lot of that out there, right? And the second path is going to be the path of authenticity. And if you lead with who you are as a person, if you're good at creating relationships in real life, you're probably going to have a lot of success on social media. But keep in mind that there is negativity out there, and the more visibility you have, the more of that you're going to see. The key is to be the defender of your own mind and your own time and understand that that is just part of the game. If you can provide value, be authentic. Whenever I say value, it is about providing information, knowledge, without expecting or asking for anything in return, right? Like, I'm not on here, I'm not wearing a branded shirt, I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm here to provide value and insight. So to Nick's point, it is definitely about being authentic. Consistent is so key. And again, as long as you don't expect a result from that, you just keep putting yourself out there, it will pay off eventually. And the last thing I'll mention is you just have to get started. So many of us wait until it's perfect and it's just right to get started. You should look back on your very first video, whether it's a month or a year from now, and go, that was not good. If you look back on that first video and you felt pretty good about it, you waited too long.
Yeah.
Thank you both for joining us today. We really appreciate your insights. This was so helpful, and we look forward to talking to you both again soon. If you had left some comments in the questions, please stick around for our live Q&A at the end of this webinar, and we look forward to answering those questions then.
Thank you for your valuable insights, Nick and Austin. That was very helpful. It can be overwhelming looking for a good place to start or trying to differentiate social media platforms. Some of the things I really appreciated about the conversation we just had was knowing your target audience and where they are and posting on those social platforms. I'd also like to remind you at this time to stick around for our live Q&A after our discussions for an opportunity to win some great surprises. In our next panel discussion, we will speak to Christian Manhard of Moose Painting, Juan Vasquez, host of the popular YouTube show Los Pintores, and Cory Leister of Inspired by You about the ins and outs of effective content creation. Welcome, Christian, Cory, and Juan. I'm so excited that you all have joined us today to share a little bit about creating content for social media. It's a question we get often here at Sherwin-Williams, but before we dive into the questions, can each of you just introduce yourself, the name of your company, and tell us a little bit about what you do?
My name is Juan Vasquez. I am the founder and co-owner of Illusions Inc., also the co-founder of Los Pintores podcast. And so we are a painting company located in California.
I'm Cory Leister with Inspired by You. We're a local residential painting company here in central Pennsylvania with an emphasis on cabinet refinishing. We also do interior painting, countertops, backsplash, flooring, full remodels, anything that you can find in a kitchen and bath. And we just want to serve our customers at a really high level. In addition to that, I also started the group Kitchen Cabinet Painting Experts and the Cabinet Refinishers Network back in 2017, just as a means to add value to other refinishers.
My name is Christian Manhard, owner-operator of Moose Painting. Over the 14 years of me doing my business, I've had multiple crews, but now I've just niched down and specialized a bit. So my main work is kitchen cabinet refinishing along with content creation. I have over 600,000 followers across all platforms. Over the past 2 months, I had 27 million views, and I love what I do.
So we've got the perfect crew here to talk about creating content. So can you talk a little bit about some of the content that you have found performs best?
Sure. So, I film from when I show up to the job site to when I leave. So even if I walk in the door, take off my shoes, vacuum the floor, I will stitch that into my videos because I think the process is very, very important. I love the before and after photos. I love the before and after content. But what I found is a lot of people don't know the steps to get there. So not only with trying to educate people on my process and how I work through everything involving each and every nitty gritty detail step, because some people are like, oh, what are you doing with my kitchen cabinets? You just come in and slap a coat of paint on. It's like, no, these take a very, very specific set of steps. So I've been able to I like to document those, put it out there, not only to help others learn and get better at their craft, because I wish I had this stuff when I was starting out instead of just lots of trial and error. So if it can help lessen people's learning curve while also taking that content, and I actually use it in my estimates as well, so the clients know exactly the steps that are happening in their house. So it's like, what does masking off a kitchen cabinet box mean? I can pull a video from me masking off a kitchen cabinet box, post it in my estimate, and now the client knows, instead of, oh, do I have to clear out my kitchen cabinets? Nope, it's got to be a little further back, which also just is, I find what a lot of people really like to watch is just the kind of nitty gritty detail stuff, because it's fun to show beautiful things, but it's also very, very fun to show how you got there.
So you take an education approach. I know, Cory, you take a pretty personal approach. So can you talk a little bit about how you create content and what seems to work best for you?
Similar to Christian, we do a lot of value add posts where we're posting our content, we're posting our processes, our systems, what we're doing, how we're doing it. We love to add value to other refinishers, to other people in the painting industry. So we're constantly doing value add posts. We call them purposeful posts. We do a mix of 3 Ps. Those are our purposeful posts. We also do personal posts. We love to get people to get to know us and to break down those trust barriers. We want, when we walk into people's home, we want them to like us, to trust us, to respect us. And we can only achieve that if we're posting personal posts where people get to know us, they get to know our team, they get to know what we stand for, our culture, our values. And by doing those personal posts, people get to know us on a more personal level, and they feel like almost we're part of their family. And so people have actually hired Inspired by You when we're several $1,000s more just for the experience. They want to be part of what we've created. And we've never claimed to be the cheapest. We will never claim to be the cheapest. We want to add the most value. We want to give the greatest experience to both our customers and our teammates, our employees here. So we're constantly posting personal posts. And then last but not least, we post promotional. And when you just think of people, other business owners, if they're constantly posting these promotional posts, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other. So we do these very few and far between, and we often mix those in a value add post or in a different kind of post so that it's not just in your face promotional posts. I think the best advice is to do promotional posts the way that you like to receive them. You know, it's not in your face. It's, this is our company. This is what we do. This is what we stand for. This is who we are. So get a good mix of those purposeful posts, those personal posts, and then throw in a promotional post every now and then.
Yeah, you definitely embrace that. I think you bring a really good point, Cory, that, you know, as painting contractors, you're sending your teams into people's homes. It's so personal. So I think if they can feel like they're getting to know a little bit of you all behind the scenes, it does help build that level of comfort before you even step foot in the door and give an estimate. So I love that. Juan, tell me about some of your content that you create and what seems to perform best for you.
We have one that is for our Illusions page, and then I also have something for Juan Vasquez, which, you know, I'm actually creating two. We are creating our business page, but we also creating my personal brand. So, and that's very good to know and understand what the purpose of those two and what makes them different. So with Cory, I definitely agree on the part of our clients. We've had clients to where we show up to their homes, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to have Pedro here in the room," and "Oh my God, I've seen this and I've seen that," and I'm like, "Okay, well, they follow our stories, you know, every day, so they've seen what they've done, they see how they come in and polite. So it just when you walk into their homes, they already know you." You know, and to me, that's just something that's just amazing. You know, our home is a more guarded, you know, secret place in the whole world. So, you know, when you have that kind of, you know, that kind of come in and they know you already, I mean, that just is priceless. So we use that, and then in our Illusions page, we show a lot of the work that we do, where we do business. We're in a very niched area, so we work on very high-end homes. So everything that we put there is either some kind of fine finish, something unique that we're doing, a new event that we went to learn more. So now we bring in all that value to that. On my personal side, I am involved with the Spanish committee and the evolution of the Spanish contractor, as well as the PCA and events that I do with Sherwin-Williams. So I like to put more of those events, what I'm doing, and how this is helping me grow myself, to grow my business. So at the end, it just creates a whole, I mean, you're selling basically your company and yourself there to the world. But for me, it's very focused onto who am I targeting. Not, I mean, I would love to have millions of followers, but I think that if I have a few hundred and I can connect with all of them, that's kind of where I've been shooting for.
Yeah, I think
Don't
it's
worry,
all about your
Christian.
goal.
I need to learn from you. I can get more.
So let me ask you a question. I've heard other contractors, maybe who are new to creating content, they'll say something like, "I don't want to show myself. No one cares about me. It feels so awkward." What advice would you give a painting contractor who feels that way?
So, I mean, I like to call it game tape too, because when I was training my guys when they were green, I would film them. Then they'd be like, "Oh, why did I get that drip there? Let's watch the game tape." They can watch me like, "Oh, my arm's staggered." So that's also getting them familiar with being in front of the camera and learning that it's okay to make mistakes. Like putting yourself in front of the camera, I still hate it a lot of the time. I'm like, "Oh God, I tripped over my words," but I don't care. I'm a human. Like I make spelling mistakes in my post all the time, and people are like, "You spelled that wrong." Like,
Same here.
you know, it's a lot harder to get the positive comments than the people that just love giving the negative comments. And it's
Mm-hmm.
repetition. It's just putting yourself out there. Like if you film everything you're doing, if you're just, you don't have to post it, but you have it there so then you can go back and watch yourself and be like, "Oh, okay, like, you know what? I've done that with a bunch of my stuff. I'm like, I don't want to post that video because I have so much of the time. Then I have a little lull or whatever, or go on vacation and want to post something, I'll go back and be like, that wasn't that bad. I'll post it anyways. And then like people still, get something out of it, even though I was super critical on myself, because we're always the most critical on ourselves compared to other people.
Yeah, it's the old saying, don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. And I think that's what holds folks back a little bit sometimes. So
don't overthink it.
I want to talk a little bit about process because, again, I think sometimes we can overcomplicate things. So Juan, I'll start with you on this one. How often are you creating content and what's your process?
I don't have like a proven process. I think some people are very organized and detailed and they have a process for everything. I'm more of like, if I see something that I like, I'm going to put it on there. But I do, I know that something that we've learned is that we want to post at least one story, and if you can, post one thing a day. Because something that you do, but that we understand and we learn is that you want to be consistent. Something too that we're gonna find out as we post things is like we're gonna post 100 things or 100 videos, 100 lives, and one or two are really just gonna hit it out of the park. The rest are like whatever, and you gotta be okay with that. You just basically put in there and actually you can go into the platforms and see what's working for you best too. You can see what gives you more results, and with that you can create more of a target. Okay, if this is giving me more likes, let me see if I can create more of this content. So they have those tools too that you can look at, but you do want to be consistent.
Using those analytic tools is great to think about what type of content you want to keep creating versus maybe stay away from. Do you have guidelines for what type of content that you create and post or will not create and post? I know, Cory, you talked a little bit about purpose, promotion, and passion. Did I get the P's right?
Purposeful, promotional, and personal. Yep.
Oh, personal. Well, I added passion, so there's a fourth.
I like that.
But yeah, talk to me a little bit about, your guidelines for content you will and won't create or post.
Yeah, I think like everything that we do at Inspired by You is wrapped around our core values. And so we're very conscious of that whenever we're posting. And we find like attracts like, and we want to attract good customers. And so we're posting stuff that we would want to attract. So we post a lot of like who we are and what we do and how we live and things like that. And I think that because of that, because we're not ashamed of who we are, and because we know our target audience, we know our ideal customer, we know what that looks like, that's kind of where we gear all of our posts towards. So anything like those would be kind of our guidelines. It's like, would we want our ideal customer? Would this attract our ideal customer?
Juan, what about you? What kind of guidelines do you have, and is there anything that you just won't create, won't post? And
Well, you go back and I believe when I first started doing social media, one of the first things that us contractors would do is we'll start taking pictures of our new truck and all these events that we're doing, and it's just not related to the business. Okay, so first of all, it has to be relatable to the business. So if you look in our business page, you will see a lot of the progress of the work, when we started our progress, how it's progressed, the type of locations we work. But we are very big on having pictures of like when we do like our events, our trainings, our guides, because we want everyone to know that we are a big family. We're not just a painting company, but we are a big family. So when you have all of this, that creates that. Like if our last story is myself, Jose, and another contractor running through the forest in Washington, and it's like, but it is part of what we're doing. We have our illusions, attire and stuff, but we're human. So I think it's that, it's the human part, not just for looks or for views, but we are human. On my personal one, like I said, I'm really focused on creating more awareness to the new contractors, the Spanish contractors. So a lot of that has to do whether I'm meeting with one of them, whether I'm going to an event, what I'm doing, or who is creating this. So it's related to what I am doing. As long as you do that, I think those are my guidelines that I set. I don't put there like I'm partying or I'm doing stuff with that. Besides, that goes on the one, that's on the private one. Right? But that's the purpose. I think, at least for me, I try to keep it that simple.
Okay, I like it. What about you, Christian?
So I mean, mine has evolved greatly over time as far as what I posted, how I started, because I started my Instagram just as another online portfolio for my clients. It started with photos before and after. I just wanted something that if they wanted to look it up easy, they could. And then I've been on this never-ending journey for creating my perfect lifestyle business. So my content has evolved over time because I am a single owner operator. And at this point in my business, I don't plan on trying to scale or grow to more people, more crews. So I'm trying to basically include all of that life content as far as, okay, the events I'm going to, why I'm going to these, because the in-person events are the most valuable thing for me, and I think anyone else in the painting industry, because you can just show up, not know anyone there. You have everyone that loves what you like to do, which is painting, and then being able to document that, get people feeling more comfortable. And then as far as my business goes, clients, I want my clients to know how I'm taking care of their home. They also love to see me out at events because it shows that I'm learning, growing, trying to better myself and my business. And then just basically there isn't a lot that I wouldn't post. It's just basically documenting my whole business and lifestyle as far as I like to post if I go on a snowboard trip. Like, hey, guess what? Now I get to go snowboarding after just busting my butt all week on the job site. And this is why I do this kind of thing. So it's basically just trying to post as much as I can, not just stuff that brings value, but stuff that also gets people excited. And I mean, I love the Nick Slavic stat points is like the average painting business in the US is 1.5 people. I fall right into that. So I get a lot of those questions from those people that have been told their whole life they have to grow a big contractor painting business to be successful instead of basically finding what you love to do, niching down, finding the clients that you love to work with. Those are my values with my work is I want a client that basically values the work, is okay with paying for it. And also the last thing, which is very important to me, is like, I like to say, would I have a beer with them? I don't like to take on pain in the butt clients that, sure, it could be the best job in the world, the best money, but if I know it's going to cause me more stress in my life than needed, I can just go find another one that hits all those boxes, not to mention just gets to make good content. So
Yeah, I think what I'm taking away from all of you is that it's really about knowing your values and what you stand for as a company and just personally, and then not so much creating content, but documenting. It sounds like a lot of you you're documenting all the moments of your day and then using that to create the content, but you're not thinking ahead of time, what kind of content am I going to create as soon as I hit record? It's really just document.
That is very,
You can
that
create
is
the
very
content
well
later.
said. Exactly. I've been trying to create some kind of content, and I'm telling you, it doesn't happen because you're thinking about it.
it's so hard when you're like, oh God, I have to post something and then
Yeah.
run out and try to figure out you're standing in your shop. You're like, what am I going to film to post? Instead of just like having the backlog of just endless videos of you just working and actually doing what you need to do instead of your brain getting in the way and being like, well, I guess I can spray this or something like that.
Let me add something. I guess that if you're new to this, if you're new to Instagram or any these platforms, and you want to start posting, something that I started doing, it was very hard to open your phone in at your job site because people will judge you like, what are you doing? You know, and we used to get judged like, what are you guys doing with your phone? Why do you have to record? And we did it, and it's very hard to pass that threshold. You know, you just gotta record, and maybe you don't put them. I got thousands of videos and pictures in my phone that I want to put, but I haven't. But you have them there. But more than anything, getting comfortable now in our jobs. I mean, there are jobs that we have to sign an NDA and we can't, share anything. But most of our jobs, we're not recording the house or anything. We're recording what our guys are doing, what we're doing, and it's just so much more that you may go through some of it at that moment, but if not, like Cory says, you have unlimited material there. Another thing that they can do if they get really creative, create folders in your phone. I have folders for a job, I have folders for the PCA, I have folders for certain events. So when I want to, I don't have to go through thousands of pictures, and it makes your life easier. So you're creating all this with an intention.
That's smart. I really need to start doing that, Juan.
It's hard. It's tough.
I just am scrolling. It's like, yeah.
When you sit on the plane or sit somewhere else, just open it 5 minutes and little by little.
Like you're saying, just even with the clients at the beginning, like, oh, like you don't know whether like the clients want you like filming on the stuff. I show up to jobs now too, where clients are like, oh, are you going to make a video of this project?
They want it, right?
That's very true.
And then it's the best, like, it's also the best advertising, because if you're doing a post every day of they're getting their kitchen cabinets refinished and they're following along and they're sending it to their friends in the area of like, oh, look what's happening. They're advertising for you. Like they're posting stuff out there. They're sharing it with their friends, which are local, which are clients that they want. Or like what I love to do too is because I already have all the content that I've been filming, send them a nice little recap video at the end. Like after the final walkthrough, like, hey, here's a nice little recap video. And guess what? They're going to blast it out to all of their friends and family, because people love talking about the beautiful kitchen that they just had in their home and all of that. And
So can you all talk a little bit about how you establish or create your own sort of voice on social media for your business?
Well, I think for me, just finding my voice was a matter of being humble enough to listen to the voice of other people. And I think in the refinishing community, when I first started, it was so closed. Like nobody was sharing information. I think Nick Slavic was the first one to really just open up those doors to sharing knowledge. And I remember when I started, I had no clue what I was doing. I was like, yeah, painting kitchen cabinets. How hard could it be? And I learned very quickly that there was a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And I think it was just a process of, I would post something, and then you would have some of these refinishers come in and be like, oh, well, that's not the way to do it. You need to do it this way. And I'd be like, okay, well, show me. And just being humble enough to learn. And then they would show me, and it would just open up my eyes to new ways of doing things. So like going from a single owner operator out of my garage, just building a business to send my kids to private school using chalk paint, to now running a successful cabinet refinishing business using industrial coatings out of a state-of-the-art spray booth. It's just been an incredible journey. But I think just surrounding myself with other people who knew far more than I did, who expanded my mind to new ways of thinking, has really helped me to establish and find my own voice to now empower other people to do the same.
For like me and my voice, I've talked about like the evolution of my business. It's going to continue evolving, and the content will continue evolving with that. But it's just like, what do you as your brand and your business want to represent? What do you want to portray to the world? Because that's all this is you're putting everything out there that is you, that is your business, that is just every little nitty gritty thing, from like the uniforms you wear, the vans, the product you produce. Like it's a lot harder to try to replicate something that you're not, and try to talk on those talking points instead of just talking about what you know in your process. Like there's definitely, obviously in all businesses, different levels of quality, different levels of work, but at the same time, there is a business for all of that. So for me personally, like I don't take on jobs of just like quickly going through and painting places and like just putting a coat of paint on there. But there's a business for that because there's clientele for that. So if you're the person that's going through banging out these jobs super fast, document how you're going to do that. Talk about your process. That's going to help people with it. So it's just describing your you, your business, and your work. It's like I said, yeah, don't try to be anybody else. It's a lot harder to do that. It's not natural, and people will value, they do value what you do and how you do it, and it will help people and or educate your clientele.
It evolves, just like Christian says. I think this is just like our business. It is an evolving thing because when we first started, or at least when I first started posting, it was about the jobs and just basically just the beautiful places and the beautiful places, and then evolve into, okay, I know they know we're working on beautiful places. Then we started showing more of the bad stuff, like the things that, like the, see, social media, everything is beautiful, okay, but I think you have to be brave in order to show when you really screw up. And I found out that some of those videos actually, like, they sell more than anything else because they're like, oh wow, they're human, they're not perfect. And so that gives you that's start is that's how you find your way. I think it's not that some people are very defined, but the majority of us, I think, that we'll start in this journey and little by little it start taking us to where we want to go, because even our business evolves. I think within the last couple of years, as our business has evolved a lot, and where we're going now, our goals are a little different, so everything changes, even this. So but you boys, it's just basically just be yourself. I joke a lot on video. I'm always laughing. I'm that's just me, so be yourself. That if you want to be, there's a lot of guys who are very informative and they're very structured, and I, for quite some time, I wanted to be like them, and I just realized that that's just not me. And sooner or later, it's gonna catch on to you. So I stopped that, and I just started laughing and bringing the stuff that people can relate, and they're gonna relate to me, and that's it.
Yeah, I think being authentic to whoever you are is really the name of the game here. Customers or viewers can sort of see through and cut through something that's a little bit more staged or fake, but it is, once you start being yourself. Juan, you say you laugh a lot. Like, I'm sure once you started just being yourself, laughing a lot, you said your content and your engagement got better. And Christian, you talked about trying not to be too perfect, and if you mess up, you just keep going and kind of make fun of yourself. So again, I think showing your humanity is really what creating your own voice and style is about. So
The best way to learn is by making a mistake and fixing it. Like, you're always going to make mistakes. You're always going to continue learning. And as long as you're not acting like everything's perfect, I'm fine. Like, and people want to also work through those issues with you and see how you've done it.
So I'm going to start with Cory here. Do you have any parting words of wisdom for painting contractors out there looking to just sort of jump in and really commit themselves to creating content for whatever platform, whatever social channel they like the most?
Yeah, I think just be authentic. Authenticity is key in social media. I think we hit on it earlier. People can smell a fake a mile away. You just want to be yourself, and don't be ashamed of who you are. Be proud of who you are, and never be ashamed to share who you are as a person. I think the more that you are authentic and people see you as genuine and you have just a genuine business, the more they're likely to trust you as a business owner. And the more, I think, where trust is built, it just opens up the door to so many other opportunities. And I think that, I said it earlier, like attracts like. And so I find the more you are yourself, the more you're going to attract those type of people as your followers, and you can create this incredible community to just uplift and encourage one another. It's a really cool thing. I know social media can get a bad rap, but I feel like it has really helped to build Inspired by You to where it is today, and it's helped to build me. I know at first I'm such a people pleaser, and when people would comment negatively, I would take it very personally. And over the years, it's like I realized that when people comment negatively, it's far more a greater reflection of their character than it is of who I am as a person. And when you just focus on who you are, and you know that your heart is right and your motives are pure, that's really all that matters at the end of the day. And just keep on posting content and be authentic and have fun with it.
I would say main things: have fun, film everything. Always, like if you film everything, you don't have to post it. Feel like what resonates with your brand, promote that out there. Also, I just find it's very, very important to just, it's top of mind. It's your like digital real estate of you and your business. Like, yes, you have your website that gets updated every once in a while, but this is your digital real estate for people landing and seeing what your business is about.
Two things I think that you have that, as we can see now on social media, one would be just start creating content. Grab a phone, create content, take videos, record, but at the same time, have a sense of what you want to bring out. Like what there has to be at least one motive, whether it's yourself, whether it's social, socially, whether it's you trying to create content for work, how to create. So try to find one focus and try to focus on that and do it constant. And you may get to the point where that's not working. Be ready to scratch that and maybe create another one, because you may have to do that. So again, two things: create content, have focus on what you want, and then go from there.
All right, well, I want to thank all three of you for giving up so much of your time and sharing your tips and tricks on creating content for social media. I know all of you have such different styles and different voices, but I know you all love this industry and you love sharing, so thank you for that. And that ends the section of us talking about content creation for social media. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, guys.
Thank you for your valuable insight, Christian, Juan, and Cory. Hopefully our viewers feel more confident in their approach to content creation. I love what they all had to say about just being authentic and putting themselves out there. Now, stay tuned with us for a live Q&A at the end of the program, and make sure you post your questions and comments in the Q&A section. You might even be rewarded with a special surprise. Our next panel discussion, we'll hear from Kassity and Jordan Moore from Ohio City Painting and Nick Slavic from Ask a Painter, as they dive into actionable steps you can take now to enhance your social media marketing with the help of Sherwin-Williams assets and tools made for contractors just like you.
Hi everyone, we're here again for topic 3, Actionable Takeaways. I'm Janelle Spellman. I am the Residential Repaint Sherwin-Williams Marketing Manager. And today we have a great group of people with us. First, Nick Slavic. Nick, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I am Nick Slavic. This is my 32nd year in the industry. I've been the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company for 16 years. I am the host of a show on social media called Ask a Painter Live. That's been around about 8 years. And I am the board chair of a 140-year-old nonprofit that serves this industry called the Painting Contractors Association.
Awesome. Kassity, Jordan, do you mind introducing yourself as well?
Yeah, so I'm Kassity. I own Ohio City Painting here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's an interior or high quality interior repaint. And this is my partner, Jordan.
I'm Jordan. I run the social media for Ohio City Painting. I also run a social media education company. I'm super passionate about helping people, especially painters, generate success in their business with the tools that social media provides.
And finally, we have Alex Williams. Alex, do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Williams. I'm a social media specialist for Sherwin-Williams, and my job is essentially to produce engaging content and to connect with our customers.
All right, let's start with social media channels. What social media channels are you on and why?
I think I'll let you
Do you want me to take this one? Most importantly, you need to choose a platform that you enjoy being on, that you would be able to have fun on. Number 2, you need to find a platform that your customers are on. And I think number 3 is choosing a platform that gives you the most robust opportunities to grow on. So for example, we choose Instagram because we have a lot of fun on it. Our customers are on it, and it gives you a robust set of tools to use. It gives you a book button, polls to engage your community and get to know them. It gives you the chance to have clickable links. And it's an algorithm that if you crack the code of, you can have a lot of success on.
Nick, how about you? How do you choose the platforms you're on?
Right now, how we choose is that same thing. Some of the best advice ever was, where are your clients? It's very likely that Snapchat is not where most of my key demographic is. It's very likely that Facebook and Instagram is. That's saying an obvious thing, but it is absolutely true. You have to be really choosy where that is. And then you want modularity, you want tools, you want controllable things, you want to be able to pay, you want to be able to do organic stuff. And really it's just, it doesn't take much efforts to figure out where your clients are, because you post a bunch of stuff and numerically people will tell you if they like it or not, and you can very easily find out where your people are.
Yeah, and from a Sherwin-Williams perspective, I'd like to add to that. So whether you're starting from scratch or you're reevaluating the channels that you're currently on and what your priority channels are, Sherwin-Williams has really easy to use resource that provides you with an overview of each channel and helps you determine which platforms are right for you and for your audience. It also talks about paid, as Nick mentioned as well. So that resource is called our Social Media Guide for Contractors, and that can be found as an attachment to this meeting invite today.
Kassity, I know you had a lot of luck with our social media guide. How do you use it and why?
Yeah, so Jordan's been in social media for a long time, so obviously I had her helping out when I launched Ohio City Painting. However, we couldn't quite figure out really what to, with the industry, with the painting industry specifically, what to put on social media. So having that, painters love tools, so having that as a tool in our wheelhouse to have on jobs, to know what to post. That was the biggest thing, is what do we post on these? What type of content are we posting? That was the number one takeaway that we used from that, because we were already on social media a little bit, but we just, to bring that in, that was a really nice tool for us to have.
Yeah.
So what are some ways you find inspiration in creating your own content?
So in terms of what to post, a lot of it comes from the fact that we have the philosophy of film everything. So when we're on job sites, we film Kassity getting out the power sander, or Kassity pausing to look around at her work, and every little thing, opening paint can, the first stroke of paint on the wall. We capture all types of content so that later, when we're scrolling through news feeds and seeing what other painters are up to, we can kind of see what is working for them and what do we already have in our content library that we can kind of play on and create something that's authentic to us, but data proven works, if that makes sense. So a lot of times we'll go through news feeds and I'll see what's Nick Slavic painting, what are all these other painters doing that has really high engagement, and how can we learn from this content and apply that to our own? That's a really important thing that we do consistently.
Nick, what about you? How do you find your inspiration?
I've done a lot of things wrong. One of the things I've done right, I think, is that from day one, probably 10 or 12 years now of posting on social media, is I've only posted things that interest me. And it turns out that is very interesting to other painters and homeowners as well too. So I love those words, authentic and genuine, because literally that is the cheat code for social media, aside with consistency too. So I get inspired by my work. I get inspired by the people I surround myself with. So naturally what you're going to find is my work and my people a lot. And there's seasons of the year as well too. So there's times that I deep dive into my project management stuff, and magically you'll see a lot of that on there. And that is a good inspiration. And even yesterday I took a note. I saw somebody had reposted, there's a video I've seen probably 8 or 9 times, but it's of an English painter who paints red phone booths in England. And it's so eloquent the way that he's been around the industry for 50 years. And I know it's been tossed around social media. Everybody's seen it. But the way he describes the old way, the new way, his current thoughts on it, and he just said it so eloquently. I actually wrote a note and said, you should try something like that. That's actually very touching. And it was visually very appealing, but also it really made me stop and just think about my own craft for a while.
Alex, any thoughts there?
Yeah, for sure. I think determining where to start creating content if you're new to social media can be a bit overwhelming. So if you don't know where to start, Sherwin-Williams has some customizable social media templates that you can use to promote your own brand and your own work by just a few simple steps. So to get started, you would log in, and if you don't yet have a login, you would register at swproplus.com. And when you log in, you'll be driven to your ProPlus dashboard. From there, you will be navigating to select the customizable marketing materials, so specifically social media assets. And from there, it's simply selecting a template, customizing it, and then posting it. So it's super, super simple, and it's just a great way to kick off your social channels or even add to existing content that you have.
Nick, how do you stay up to date on social media trends? And what type of education do you use to stay current?
When I see most trends I see, which you would consider like a social media trend, are interesting to me. But I don't really subscribe to a lot of those things. You'll actually not find a lot of before and afters on mine. I would argue that if a young contractor came and said, how do I get the most work and the most following? I would say, number one, before and afters, and also list the paint color. Like you guys talked about, like adding value, even to people who aren't going to sell. Literally, that is the best thing you can do for your business. I find I just don't do that a lot. So what the unsatisfying answer of how I stay consistent is, yeah, this is deeply unsatisfying. I have a deep passion for what we do. Like, I love this craft arguably more than anybody else. I've lived it since I was 10 years old, 32 years. There's nothing more satisfying than priming a piece of bare wood to me. And it's very easy to want to share that regularly. So in fact, I don't have to struggle to be consistent. I have to struggle to maintain a good boundary between, is this a piece of content that will help or stabilize or improve my image? Will it continue the ethos and the core values that I perpetuate? Or is it just me diddling on the internet? And you got to be very careful about that, especially when you have, businesses and kids and stuff like that. You can find yourself just spending all the time on social media because it's for my business. So you have to be really careful about, like, I have a deep passion for it. I have a deep passion for sharing, but it has to be the right kind of sharing and it has to be metered. So I tell myself once a day, give or take.
Perfect. Kassity, Jordan, how do you stay on trend?
Yeah, I think he nailed it again. You won't find many trendy things, that we're doing on social media. I think what we stick to is what works. So we do kind of throw everything out there on social media and see what our audience really likes. So, we're not in an industry that people can just walk up and down the street and see what we're doing all the time. So getting a window into, even just taking a roller from the pan to the wall, stuff like that, people really find it satisfying, and we get a lot of feedback, which is the biggest thing in staying consistent, is that feedback. So anytime a video does really well, we will do that again. So that's our biggest key in consistency.
Yeah, and I think I would add the biggest thing that you can look for as an additional tool, especially this is probably just for TikTok and Instagram, maybe Facebook Reels, maybe YouTube Shorts. They're all kind of becoming one. Is music. Music is something that I do pay a lot of attention to, especially in terms of trends, especially around a day that's important to us. So I'll give you an example. Women's History Month. I believe that was the most recent one, where we put a piece of content out there that did really well. And the reason it did so well, I knew it was going to do so well because I played on a kind of a Women's Day trend where I found music that had the up arrow, which means it's trending. And I looked at the library that Instagram gives you for that music. So you do so by clicking on the music. And then I looked at what are the top performing pieces of content that used this music. And I found this incredible woman. I don't know, I think she was like a welder or something, just like doing incredible things in life. I looked at the video she did and I studied it. And like I told you earlier, I thought, what can I apply that she did here to our content in an authentic way that's not just ripping this from her, but is inspired by her. And we did it, right? So we looked at what the formula was that this creator used, applied it to with our own strategy, and it worked really well for us, and it inspired so many other women. So many women painters commented on that post. If you're watching this and you saw the video, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's what it's all about, right? So if you are going to play on trends, do it in a way that feels good. You don't want it to feel like you're copying or you're just like, maybe not giving credit where credit is due. But there is a way to play on trends that will actually help you grow your business. So if it feels good for you, definitely play on them.
what are some best practices in growing your audience from your inner circles, from your friends and family, to a larger, bigger circle?
Yeah, so there's an unsatisfying answer, which is, again, authentic and genuine and consistent. And that's typically not what people want to hear. They want to say, what picture can I post that will go viral and I'll have 100,000 followers instantly? And that is not a strategy. That is not a scalable sort of way of doing social media. Yeah, it's basically consistency. So if you want to grow your audience, it is, again, we can't hit this enough. Authentic and genuine, post consistently. And by consistently, 3 times a day is not, it's a lot, but you're not overdoing it at 3 times a day. I would argue once a day consistently for years and years and years is a great start, and it doesn't take that much time. And then another part, the third part of that unsatisfying answer is literally direct messaging, interacting with other people. It's your effort that does that. It's very likely that none of us will ever crack the magic algorithm of something and by chance will trip over a viral video. It's really connect with other genuine people, post things that are authentic to you, do it as much as you can, and over years, guaranteed your social media following will not only grow, but grow with the people that you want to attract the most.
Curious, when you say direct message other people, who are you messaging? What are you saying to them?
Yeah, so red phone booth guy, I'll send a message. You can send a message to the person who posted it. I said, hey, what is the source of this? Do you have contact information for this guy? They'll send it, and I will send a message that's saying, listen, that was one of the most thoughtful videos I've ever seen. I'm not asking for anything. I just want to tell you I appreciate that little bit of time you took to make sure, the lighting was right, the audio was right, the words that you said were very touching to me, and the edits were done well. Coming from somebody who does that stuff, that takes a lot of work, and I don't want that to be unnoticed. So just thank you. And you do enough of that genuinely over the years. I've amassed, when you look at some of my followings online, it's not that large, arguably, but the people who are there are like best friends. And that's how I've created that really close camaraderie in the industry.
I love that. Kassity, Jordan, how are you growing your audience?
The whole time I'm sitting here nodding my head because Nick's spot on with that, the authenticity piece. You walk around town and you see someone with a shirt on that you like, you naturally would just be like, oh, I really like your shirt, right? So the same thing applies on social media. We are really big on, looking at what's going on in our community and honestly, even local businesses and what's going on around us, commenting constantly, DMing people constantly, just because we want to have an interest in them. Our feeds aren't full of all painting industry. We're really immersed in our community. But also in the paint community, especially the women in paint community around the world. We have, Australia friends just because we've connected, right? So there's no limit to how you can grow. It's just a matter of putting yourself out there I can't say that word today, authentically, telling people you enjoy what they're watching or you enjoy what they're doing and, just kind of playing on that.
Yeah, there's a key that I learned recently, and it kind of corroborates what you're describing, Nick. And it's that your goal should be to build a community that will not allow your business to fail, and that is possible. And I could tell you stories and stories on that prove that to be true, but we'll spare you unless I meet some of you in person. I can share it. But I also wanted to add another little nugget, and it's in addition to everything Nick is saying, because there's not one thing you said that I disagree with. And it's that you need to be providing value whether people are going to buy from you or not. So you're providing value whether people are going to become your customers or not. You're providing value to the homeowners who can't afford to spend $10,000 on a paint job this year, but maybe they will be able to 5 years from now, and they're going to remember you because you showed them how to properly pour paint in a little
pan.
In a pan, and you showed them how to cut, without tape and little things like that. You're constantly providing value by either inspiring them, entertaining them, or educating them. They're going to remember you and choose you should they ever have the means to hire you.
This is a common question I hear all the time from our contractors. How often should you be posting on social media, and how do you stay consistent?
When you're first starting out, just setting a goal is really important. Social media can get really overwhelming. So 3 times a week at first, that's great, but it's really just the consistency. So our goal now is, at least 3 times a week. And if we do more, great. But we've really built that community that Jordan's saying, build a community that won't let you fail. So now if we do take a week off of posting, when we come back, people are still cheering us on and rooting for us, right? We're still getting a lot of that engagement. So, but with that consistency piece, I think that's really the most important.
Yeah, and also we're not only on one platform. We have like 7 social media platforms that we're using, right? So for us, posting 3 times a week works. We were able to build a 6-figure paint company in a couple of years with posting 3 times a week with around less than 1,000 followers. So those stories are really important for the first demographic of painters that Nick described, who, maybe are a bit smaller, maybe, a couple people on your team. If you want to just go the organic route and you want to do what you can on social media, you could post 3 times a week, as long as each post is the highest quality type of content that you can come up with. You can definitely generate success in your company, but it depends. Are you going to one day want to be able to sell merch and, generate a good income with merch? Do you want to maybe have 10,000 followers in the matter of a couple of years? You're probably going to want to post every single day. So you have to sit down and figure out, what does consistency mean to you, and what is your goal, and how many times a week do you need to be posting to reach that goal?
Yeah, I find whenever I have a plan, if I have the plan in my head, it usually lasts about 2 days. If I actually write it out, and it'll last maybe like a month or so, and then if I write it out and post it somewhere where I can see it, on the fridge, or whether that's my bathroom mirror, that's when I become consistent and where it becomes a habit. So I love that feedback of, write out your plan, make sure, you understand your goals and how you're going to be authentic.
Earlier we talked a little bit about your social media for painting contractors. I gave it a little look through before we started today. Yeah. And I want to read a quote in here that I think is so important. And it's, for the generations that spend a lot of time online, if you don't exist in the digital space, you might as well not exist at all. It's a really important point, and I love this guide because it's that direct. That statement in this guide has inspired me to inspire other local painters here in Cleveland, who, probably have a few more decades on us, and they just are in this mindset that I don't need social media because I have business. And what I try to help those people understand is that, yeah, business is good now, but what if it's not in a couple years? Why wouldn't you give social media a try? Like Nick said, you can generate a lot of success by just popping up and sharing your thoughts and posting it. You will do all of the things that we're telling you to do by doing something that simple. You'll be authentic, you'll be true to you, and you'll be showing up for your community. And just do it. It's so worth it, and you can have fun with it. It doesn't have to be this like painful task, right? You can actually get in there and play and create things that bring you and your community joy. So I wanted to add that.
That's awesome. 2 things from me, which is that social media guide by Sherwin. When I first saw that, literally every bullet point that you guys say is bore out with real experience, boots on the ground, of my experiments, my data, and my feelings from running a $3 million painting business. So, I mean, it's you might read that pamphlet and say, these are very obvious things. Here's the thing. Can you be professional enough? Can you be consistent enough to do them and actually get a result? And do not sleep on that pamphlet. That is one of the most robust, simple, straightforward pieces of success advice that you can get about social media.
Yeah, hang it on your fridge. The social media guide will be on the Zoom invite, as well as you can ask your local sales rep for one as well. Alex, is there anything else that we needed to add here?
No, I think you hit the last point about our Pro Plus Business Training webinar series. I will call out our Social Media 101 episode. That's episode 6. So go check that out. It's a great extension of today's conversation, and it's just another tool to help you continue your social media education. Again, that's on YouTube at Sherwin-Williams.
Kassity, one of the authentic things that I found in your social media is your shoes. And, we were talking about earlier today that you're wearing them. So, is there a reason why your white flip-flops keep making an appearance throughout?
Yeah, so apparently I'm known for my white flip-flops. So again, that authenticity piece. I feel very comfortable in no shoes or slides, and I walk around all my jobs with that on. So I get a lot of flack for that. It's a very popular thing. I don't know if it's, people are just not used to seeing toes, on a job site or what's going on there. But yeah, that's who I am, and that's how I show up.
I will say it's become kind of a hidden, like, what would you call it? Like a
strategy.
A hidden strategy. There's some big time social media marketers out there who once taught me that one secret to success is intentionally generate negative feedback. Take your mental health and the importance of maintaining it into consideration here.
Right.
However, there are little things you can do. This guy puts like weird teddy bears in his videos, or like weird things just to get people to comment on them. So ours is the fact that she's barefoot or in slides.
Yeah.
I am at the point now where we wait for the comments to go crazy.
Oh, my feet are showing again.
Some of our like most viral videos are all because 100 people commented about Kassity's shoes. And what those 100 people don't realize is they think they're like making fun of us and hurting our feelings, I guess. But in reality, they're telling the algorithm that, hey, this is a piece of content that's keeping users on this platform. So they're going to pump it in front of more people. And it's worked for us.
It works.
Nick, what shoes are you wearing, Nick?
Ooh, I don't even know if I can get my feet up that high. I got my hands on today. So, I waffle between, I typically wear my Red Wing work boots, so I don't get the haters online saying anything to me. But this year I graduated to business casual at work. I used to always wear my cream button-up shirts and my cream colored painter's pants to keep it real with the kids on the streets with my Red Wing work boots. But this year I'm a professional manager in my business, so I got to come with like, I got a pair of khakis on and stuff and a Carhartt shirt with my Vans. So that's the uniform now.
So now I did take a dive down your social media as well, Nick. And I did see that you made a comment about a tracksuit and how you weren't wearing your normal airport tracksuit. And I will say, I did see it in the Vancouver airport. So is that your trademark?
All right. So I take that back. I do have my version of the white sandals. Okay. I didn't even know it, but it started off as being genuine and authentic and consistent, might I add, that when I travel 15 to 18 times a year for industry events, many for Sherwin, I do wear my Adidas tracksuit because it is the most comfortable way for a guy to travel around the country. And so, yes, it is one of those things. When I do not wear it, I get the crazy comments around like, oh, what, Nick, you must not be traveling today, So, yeah.
Actually, I was thinking about it, and to me, it reminds me of The Loneliest Color. Have you seen the ad for Sherwin-Williams?
I was going to mention that.
You need to go viral with it, yeah.
I actually messaged you guys saying, I love this idea. This poor color that nobody uses. You guys found an artist and you did something with it. Like, what a beautiful idea. It makes me very jealous I didn't come up with that idea. I love that.
Maybe that'll be our next webinar we talk about is your guys' shoes, tracksuits, and the loneliest color. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us on topic 3, actionable takeaways. We'll see everyone in the live Q&A.
Thank you, Kassity, Jordan, and Nick. We appreciate your valuable insights, and hopefully our viewers feel more confident in steps they can take to enhance their social media and marketing. As a reminder, we've got some great tools for you at Sherwin-Williams. We have our social media guides that give you step-by-step instructions to get started, informational webinars on social media and marketing that can be found on Sherwin-Williams' YouTube channel, and our new customizable social media templates. You can find these documents for download by clicking on the resources in the bottom of your Zoom windows and then selecting Documents. Now it's time to get your questions ready and added to the chat. Let's get started with our live Q&A panel. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our live chat. We're so excited that you stuck around, and we're really excited to have with us Nick, Kassity, Jordan, and Juan. So they're here to answer all of your questions live, and we're just going to jump right in. So we did have a few questions that were submitted before the event, so we're going to start with those, but we saw lots of activity in the chat, so we appreciate you putting your questions there, and we're going to get to some of those as well. So the first question I have is for Nick. How can I use my social media presence to help transition me out of the field and into my next type of painting career once the time comes?
So whether you're an employee painter that eventually wants to grow in a company or start your own, or you're a sole proprietor that wants to professionalize your company, it's so important to lay down that base of social media, because the new word of mouth is that Google search that leads to social media. So lots of pictures, lots of content, so that when people go and search you, they can get a feel for who you are and potentially have you do things for them.
Yes, yeah. Now, Juan, I know you had some great tips on this with your folders that you shared during the conversation.
Yeah, no, that's what we were talking earlier. So something that's important, I guess, is instead of going through our whole phone, I've learned to create folders. So now I can put all these videos or pictures, and I can name them depending on where they stand. And so that's great, because when I come back to do a video, then that's going to help me maximize my time. And I have to go through my whole thousands of pictures and videos, you know, because something that you guys know, if we're going to do these videos, we're going to go through a lot of videos. We're not going to just take one video. So please, just know that it is going to take a lot of videos to get to the one you want.
Yeah, and I love that. Just build a strong foundation, stay organized. So, all right, our next question is for Kassity and Jordan. So what ways can I generate more followers and reach more people besides being constantly active on Instagram?
Well, something we love to do is just be out in our community and talking to people. So whenever we are at a coffee shop or even just meeting someone around us, it's always good to share what you're doing and share your Instagram handles, your Facebook profiles, and get them to follow you right on the spot.
So you just ask them?
Just ask them right out, yeah.
And you said you actually will grab their phone.
Yeah, I'll grab a phone, and you know, it's hard to follow, like, spell it out for me, so I'll just write it in for them. And that's the easiest way for a solid follow.
I love it, I love it. Jordan?
Yeah, so do that. And then in addition, if posting every single day feels really stressful, you don't have to do that. You can get by with posting about 3 times a day. Focus on creating more solid content.
A week, 3 times a week.
3 times a week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was going to say 3 times a day. That's tough.
If you got it, you got it.
Okay, so we got that down. In addition to that, form genuine relationships with like-minded people like we have here today. And when you have a really solid piece of content that you're proud of, that will add value for a lot of painters, ask those like-minded people to share your content so that you can reach more people. And then, lastly, I would say you can consider actually paying micro-influencers to share your content. Maybe geo-targeted micro-influencers, which I should probably explain what those 2 terms are. So if you go this route, you want to find your local people in your geo-targeted area. Means like if you're in Cleveland, you're going to want to find Cleveland-based micro-influencers, right, who can share your content. Micro-influencers is someone, let's say look for someone with like less than 50,000 followers, maybe less than 100,000 followers. Definitely don't go higher than 500,000 followers, who has a niche audience, who's really engaged, and ask them to share your content. They might tell you that it's going to cost a few $100s, and that's where you can consider it and how it's going to align with your marketing budget.
Yep. Awesome. Those are great tips. Thank you. Okay, Juan, any advice on what equipment works best for creating content and getting things for social media in order?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, all we need nowadays is our phone.
Yeah.
We all have a phone.
Yep.
And some of these phones are better than some of the cameras. So
yeah.
You just need a phone. I carry around it's like a $20 tripod that I carry with me, and that's all you need. Other than that, you can use the digital tools, which are I like the AI assisted tools, because you can just use them for so many different aspects of from creating the video to posting the video to actually the one that I use is ChatGPT. And that what I like is I can put a sentence in there, and I can I can put a phrase, and I can ask him to say, hey, create a sentence for this based on this. And it'll give me a whole sentence. And then from there, I pick and choose and then make it my own and make it more human.
Yes.
And
yeah.
but
but it alleviates a lot of the stress because sometimes we don't know what to put.
Yeah.
You know, and so use that. I think that those are amazing.
Now, Jordan, I know you had a couple tips on how you use AI. We'll just jump right into that because there was a ton of questions in the chat about AI. You talked about how you use it differently on Instagram versus YouTube.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I thought those were some great tips.
Absolutely. So with Instagram, I lean less on ChatGPT for actually writing captions. Maybe I'll write a caption and then I'll ask ChatGPT if they can zhuzh it up a little bit. But I won't use it to actually write my captions on Instagram because that's our pride. Our Instagram is where we put the most effort. And so with Instagram, we want to make sure we're maintaining our brand voice and using our natural voice as much as possible. When it comes to YouTube, where I'm less concerned about the caption being perfect, I will take advantage of the fact that it lets you use up to 5,000 characters. So I'll go to ChatGPT, I'll say, hey, ChatGPT, write me a caption that's 5,000 characters that will attract an audience in Cleveland, Ohio, who is homeowners, and please keyword stuff it with high quality painter and blah, 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 all these things. And immediately it will give you a 5,000 word caption. I'll slap it on the YouTube video. Check it through, make sure it's good.
You have to definitely
make sure it's good. Make sure you're not lying to people. And then upload it to YouTube. Those videos have helped us get 10,000 views and more with 50 followers on YouTube.
That's awesome.
Insane.
I love it. And now, Kassity, I know you have a hack that you use or a tool for creating content. So we wanted you to share that.
Painters have so many tools, right? Just on hand always. So I found that my phone fits perfectly in a roll of painter's tape.
There you go.
And you just hold it up and it can just be your own little tripod, like on a ladder or a windowsill.
So don't let not having the right tools be the thing that's holding you back from creating great content. All right, let's get to some of our audience questions. So for Nick, creating content is important, but let's talk about getting leads. As far as paid lead sources, can you talk about what channels you recommend? Angie, Yellow Pages, Nextdoor have been mentioned all in the chat.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of the named sites where you can go, and they fall under a category of paid lead sources. So think of things where you can pull a lever, you can exchange some cash, and you will get some leads in return. And the question of good or bad or which one is way less important than knowing the system in which to win with those. There is a completely different operating system you need to do as a business owner to win at those. If you, as a painter, turn it on in the morning, paint for 10 hours, come home and check your leads, all those leads have already been acted on by other painters. You need to immediately answer your phone call and you need to immediately schedule an estimate. If you do not do that, they're gonna charge you for all those leads and you could go through a dispute process with them to do that. But really what you have to do is you need to man your phone and you need to act on them immediately. I know contractors who have had a lot of frustration and friction with those. It's because they didn't operate under that system. We know some very professional contractors that decided to play that game and do very well with it, but it's immediacy.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then ladies, you have had a lot of success building your business with Instagram. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a majority of our leads are coming in through directly Instagram and referrals. I'll let Jordan kind of take this away, but it's been our entire lead generation is just Instagram.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is make it super easy for people to book your estimates. Do not make them work hard. You will just lose so many people. That was one of the first things we did when we started this business years ago, is I went into Instagram's action buttons, which is a business tool, and you can turn on a book button and then connect it with some connected, they partner with all these various calendars. We use Square because it was the easiest. And all people have to do is go to your profile, tap book, and within 30 seconds, they're booked in your calendar. So that is how easy you want to make it for people.
I think that immediacy and making it as frictionless as possible is really the key to anything when you're using social media for lead generation. So, okay, we have another question from Landon. What % of your marketing budget would you allocate towards social media versus traditional marketing, flyers, signs, and wraps? So Juan, I don't know if you want to take that one or...
I think Nick has a lot more experience.
I was going to say this guy.
I just want to say.
Oh, data and feelings. All right.
Data and feelings.
Data and feelings. So how much towards social media? I'll give some general industry benchmarks and then we can talk about social media. So generally accepted, most professional paint businesses like to keep their marketing budget to 3.5 to 5%. That's on the low side. That's kind of a reach goal for most.
Right?
Of total revenue sales. Yes, so the top line revenue. So if you want to be in a little bit more growth mode, you kind of have to look towards that 7 to 10%. That's a commonly accepted industry benchmark. So if you're a $1 million business, if you really want to grow, potentially $100,000 of spend. Now, how much to spend of that on social media should be solely reliant on the experiments you do. So we're talking about social media today, but this applies for any marketing channel, which is none of these tips matter if you don't track your data from it. So think of that proverbial funnel. You have leads that turn into estimates, that turn into sold jobs. You need to know the conversion rate from how many people contact you, the percentage that turns into estimates, the percentage that turns into closed jobs, and you need to attach the marketing channel. Could be Facebook, could be Instagram, could be Angie's List, any of those things, to actually let you know how much to then spend on Facebook. If Facebook doesn't get you any business, don't spend any money on it. You need to find the channel that actually gives you a return on investment.
Right. No, I think that's great. Do you guys have any tips for how you track the metrics?
So in our business, just learning from Nick and a lot of these great businesses here, what we started doing charts for everything. And so you're just in charge of following up on those charts. And as you go, you start seeing, repetitions. And like he says, that data is going to give you that information. So we do it from the job side to everything that we do. And so it's important to keep that. How you do it, it just depends on what you access. But I mean, Google Drive, Google Sheets, that's what we use, and it's just pretty straightforward.
And you guys mentioned it too, where you have a book it button through Instagram. You know those leads come from Instagram.
Exactly.
And you can do something as simple as on your website, have a drop-down list of where did you hear about us.
Yeah.
The client has to do that in order to book an estimate with you. Automatic marketing research.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it. All right, let's see what else we've got coming in. So let's see. Celine asks, how do you handle negative responses on social media that could impact your business reputation?
You got to take this.
One is just take care of your mental health first. If you're getting a lot of negative feedback on something that doesn't necessarily pertain to what you're doing, which is often the case, just remember that it's not personal ever. It's never personal.
Which is so easy, right?
It's just so easy, right?
Just do
so
that.
easy. Just forget about it. I have heard the term, post and ghost, so it's a matter of, putting it out there. And maybe if it does bother you, don't look at them. Don't look at the negative feedback. In our case, we've gotten a lot of, positive things from our negative feedback. You've heard my sandals are quite the talk on Facebook. But like Jordan's explained to me is, that negative feedback gets it in the algorithm because more people are commenting on it.
And I feel like if you're a good, reputable company, oftentimes your fans or your customers will sort of come to your defense.
100%.
And
100%.
I think the key is not to engage.
Yeah.
But is there a way, have any of you ever reached out, privately or through direct message and said, hey, we'd like to make this right? Or how have you handled that? I'm curious. I know.
Well, we had an incident not too long ago, and we asked in our group, and what they basically said was the best thing you can do is just respond. Just be polite, respond, and say that we apologize that we created this inconvenience for you. And just try to make it amendment as much as you can, and that's all you can do. What it does from there, maybe you're not satisfying this client need, but whoever is reading this feedback can be like, oh, I like it that you respond. So you're creating something good out of a negative situation.
Yep, absolutely.
I can add a tiny bit before we move on.
Yeah.
One thing I don't recommend doing is defending yourself, especially if it seems like it's a troll, unlikely a real person.
They're baiting you.
And they're just making fun of you.
Yes, exactly.
I see a lot of painters kind of defending themselves, and I just don't recommend getting in that trap. It's not going to feel good to do that. And we kind of play with it. Kassity will throw up funny, silly emojis back. And, and it's we have gotten messages of support for how we handle our public negative feedback.
Yeah, I think that's great. Just, respond in a way that's very respectful, but then also not take it too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so this is from Joshua. This can be for anyone. Do you ask your customers to sign any kind of release before you film or record on their property?
We do. So we have in our contract, there's a special sheet there for its property release form, and so they sign the whole contract, and then when they sign, of course, they have to read everything, and of course, then later on, we still ask, say it was in our contract, but This is why we do it. And we always emphasize that we do this for educational, for publicity and marketing for our business. And we ask if there's anything in specific that they're not, happy or they wouldn't want us to show. And with that said, you have to be respectful of people's properties too. I think that is a big, big part. If you're respectful, and because not to be posting, so I think that's big.
Yeah.
So that's
I love that you have it in your contract, but then you also call it out. I think that just shows a level of professionalism and service that a lot of homeowners probably appreciate.
Exactly, and I'll be honest with you, most of them, they're like, oh yes, please, please, some of my clients, they're like, well, how come I'm not being, posted on your, what does it take for me, right?
Yeah, I love it. Do you guys do anything particular?
We do not, but it does not, I can't see how that can hurt.
Yeah.
Because some of our clients are very, exclusive clients.
Yes.
And some of the actual homes we go to work, we have to sign an NDA before we even look at the job. So that's what we took it from. Just be respectful. And
I would say, verbal communication is important, transparency is important, but also just knowing, not to show parts of a bedroom, or like not having the address, on your social media. We do take careful, attention to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good tips. Colby says, I seem to get social media burnout after posting content day after day. How do you keep it up without getting burned out? We're talking about this in the makeup.
I can start this. Number one, you put your phone down when you're feeling the burnout. I experienced social media burnout today. I've been posting so many stories, and I put my phone down. I said, I'm not going to pick it up anymore until we leave. So just honor that when you're feeling like stuck, and maybe you get lost in a state of comparison to all the other amazing painters. Put your phone away. Come back to it when you're feeling better.
Walk away from the device.
Walk away.
That's true. Don't force it.
Did you have something else to share?
No. I think it's the same thing. I do that. There's days that you will not see anything on my personal, and it's just not that I don't have anything to put. It's just you just
need a break.
Get up there. Yes, too much.
My only little tip with that too is when you are feeling good, when you are wanting to collect content, collect a bunch. You can always come back to it. We're cycling through things from months ago. So it's always nice that when you're in it, go for it.
That's right.
And use the folders.
Use the folders. That's right.
Organize it. I think that's a great tip because there's just days you're not feeling it, and if you try to force it, it's going to come across as inauthentic. So, and we'd heard the authenticity word big time through this entire conference. So it's great advice.
We're humans.
We are. Yes, we are humans. So this is from Yvette. Do you recommend posting on holidays or is social media overly flooded with content on those days? If you do, what do you post?
I can start this one because I have a personal pet peeve of the over-edited holiday card type of content in the newsfeed. Those pieces of content rarely get high engagement, okay? So you need to listen to that. What I do recommend is if it feels right for you to post on these holidays, post a really natural image of you and your family celebrating or you and your team celebrating. That is going to speak to an audience much better than a postal
Sounds
card.
like authenticity.
Exactly. Always.
Or even like tips, 3 ways to survive the holidays with your family, or something kind of fun like that. But I think it either has to be authentic, engaging, interesting, something that's going to serve a purpose versus just that very
make it comparable
templated holiday greeting. So, all right. Let's see. So this is from Joshua. Do you think a website is still worth having with all social media platforms available?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
This is oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Minnesota just came out. I'm sorry. No, so this is I travel around the country and do master's classes with people. I collect a lot of data from my business, and there's a thing known as the quadrinity. There is a website, there's a Google Maps listing, there's Facebook, and there is an Instagram. If you are a professional painting business, those are not nice to haves. Those have them or nobody knows you're alive. I mean, they're literally the entrance fee into this. So 16 years I've been operating my business. I started off with newspaper and yellow pages, and then social media showed up.
Tablets?
No, how dare you? In the late 1900s.
In the 1800s.
So back then, if you were a painter and you had a website, people were like, wow, painter website. And now if you don't, you're just not findable. So really that quadrinity, those 4 things will do the minimum to put you on the map so that anybody can find you, because the new word of mouth is Google. You might ask somebody for a referral, but then that person is going to put their name into Google, and what comes up? And if you have a really good social media following, all that stuff naturally comes up. And if you regularly post, it's higher in that.
Say the quadrants again. The quadrinity.
The quadrinity is a website, is a Google Maps listing, Facebook, and Instagram. Now, for people who have done those and done a lot of stuff, there's 31 other things you can also do, but really, if we talked about burnout, there's so much out there, do those. Do those.
Okay, we've got some time for more questions, so keep them coming in the chat. Let's see, this is from Nikki. Do you think it is important to separate your business content from your personal content on social media? Why or why not?
Oh, definitely. That's, that's big. We were just having this conversation earlier. It's like, if you're a painter, you want to talk about progress of your paint. You want to show your paint jobs. You want to show where you work and what you do, right? And your personal, you can show however you like. You can either invite your clients, or anyone can be private if you like. But in your personal, then you can create whatever it is for your personal. And so I think it's crucial, to have separate, you know. So
what do you guys think?
I think so.
Counterpoint.
I was going to go forget. I was going to say I agree, but I think there can be some crossover too. I think that authenticity piece. We show up as we are. So sometimes there is something that I'm like, oh, my family, my friends would love to see this. This event in general. I'm sharing this.
Wait,
my
is your mom watching?
Hi, Shelly. My mom might be here online. Yeah, but no, I think it's important. Whatever feels right to you personally, that's the most important.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting, a long arc of social media, which is authenticity comes down to what is right for you, your family, and your business. And for years, the common knee-jerk advice when social media became prominent is you got to separate everything. You got to separate everything. And there was just something inside me that said, like, my personal values and my business values and my likes and the way I live my life are so closely aligned. For certain circumstances, it's a value add to have that intertwined. Now, you look at all of that intertwined, it all feeds into one another. My personal life adds value there, professional value there. But that was just something that's very specific to me. And you have a certain set of core values, you follow them, you don't stray from them, and it's a value add.
I also think it depends on where you are in your business. So Nick, obviously you have your painting company, but Nick, you are a brand. You are, right? So I think being thoughtful about, Nick, the painting company, Nick, the Ask a Painter Live, and then Nick, the...
It's a really good point because there's about 8 social media accounts I have. So there is the private, there's the painting business, there's Ask a Painter, and there's other things. And there are specific things, like Juan was saying, there's certain pieces of content and things that only go on certain channels, and then some cross those boundaries. So it's a very good point, very good clarification.
Yep. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so if this is for you, Juan, specifically, I want to connect with other Hispanic painting pros so we can learn from each other. Where on social media can I connect with others in this space?
Oh, cool. This is what I love to talk about. Here we go. No one else is talking. No. Well, we can start by Sherwin-Williams. I believe that not a lot of our industry is aware of all the tools the Sherwin-Williams has, especially for the Spanish community. Then we have PCA, of course, which a lot of tools. We can we have Los Pintores, which is our podcast. Please listen to that. There's a lot
Who's
of tools
the host?
there.
I feel like there's a really cool host.
Sometimes I'll be there. Just kidding. Sometimes.
Go ahead, plug it.
Me or Jose, by the way. But there are a lot of tools. The only thing is that we have to be involved. I think start looking. Facebook. There's a lot of groups. We have a group in WhatsApp as well, which is over 100 contractors. But what I like about that is that it's a small group, but we're very, very engaged. I think that this year, well, not this year, but we live in a time in our industry that is very interesting for the Hispanic community. Like, there are so many things coming up that it is going to be. So just start getting involved, start going through social media, especially Facebook, get into a group, and you'll see how much resources are out there.
Yeah, there's a lot online, there's a lot in person. So you mentioned the PCA, there's great events. Sherwin-Williams has great networking events that are for the Hispanic contractors.
Well, you guys have the Aquí Entre Pros, and then you have the Pro App, which is full in Spanish.
Full in Spanish, yep.
So that's a very great tool.
Yep. And then for women in paint, I'm going to kind of just piggyback off of that comment because, you know, I think, what is it? You'll know the statistic, 3% of painters or painting companies are owned or operated by women.
Yep.
And so where have you both found your community?
We're really good at finding our community within Cleveland because that's, you know, where we're at. And there's tons of women in paint also just owned businesses, women-owned businesses. So that's just where we started. But also connecting with people in Sherwin, even if I'm in Sherwin shopping and I see another woman painter, I'm always connecting with them. But honestly, Facebook has a lot of really good groups, and you might be able to speak to that.
Yeah, Facebook groups we've heard a lot about, but something you can do literally right now is just search a hashtag for people that you want to connect with. If you feel like you're the only woman painter, you know, and you really want to find some others, search, I think Ladies of Paint is a great hashtag. If you want to connect with Hispanic painters, I would be surprised if Hispanic painters was not a hashtag. And then,
I'm pretty sure there is. I gotta look it up. I gotta look it up.
It's like, I'm gonna start that now.
And then what you do from there is you find people that like look like you, speak like you, feel like you could relate to them, send them a message. Hey, you know, I love this about your page. How do you do that? Hey, you know,
Or just
anything.
say hi.
Or just say hi.
Yeah.
You know, remember Nick's phone booth story where he just messaged the guy. And, you know, it's that simple to connect with these people that feel so far away because they're through a screen.
Well, Juan said it very cool. This is an interesting time in our industry because the data and the feelings, right? So the data is you hear about the disparity in wages between men and women, 70 cents to $1, things like that. In our industry, the painting industry, there is actually perfect wage parity. It's 1-to-1. And that's a stat that is not thrown around enough. So on average, a female painter and a male painter will be paid the same in our industry. And so we should be way more proud of that than we are. Juan and I are directors on the Painting Contractors Association, the PCA. It's a 140-year-old nonprofit that serves the industry. And when we look around, 63% of our industry is likely Spanish speaking or speak some Spanish, right? Only 3% is women, but there's wage parity. Within the PCA, we saw that with the help of champions like Sherwin. We banded together, and in the 140-year history of that nonprofit, last year was the first year that we recruited Juan, we recruited women, we have committees, we have specific events for them, and now we're leveraging in to actually cater to our demographic and be proud of that.
Yeah, you're right, it's an exciting time, and I think if you start looking for it, you'll find it.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
Well, yes. So, we've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to keep going with the questions. This one says, social media channels are always changing. What tools do you learn the ins and outs of the channels? So I know that, Jordan, you have a tool that you love to use from Sherwin-Williams.
Oh, yes. I'm like, I almost wanted to have you repeat the question,
also
but I think I've got it down.
Yeah, so
the social media marketing guide is what you're referring to.
Yes,
that's
but
great.
Tools too, yeah.
That's great, and we're going to talk about that more. But I actually would prefer if you could repeat the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So social media channels are always changing. What tools do you use to learn the ins and outs?
Got it. Okay, thank you. So this is more simple than you'd think.
Resources.
Yeah, more simple than you'd think. These social media platforms, you need to first and foremost know, want you to do well. Surprise.
Yeah.
They don't hate you. If you have that belief, let it go. They want you to do well. And so what do? They tell you how to do well. If you go to Instagram for business or TikTok for business, like whatever platform you like that you want to know, go to them because they're going to tell you how to do the platforms better than almost anyone can. So that's really great. Find some newsletters that you love. I used to love Later blog for Instagram. I don't use it as much anymore. Social media marketing world, there's events you can go to. There's a Social Media Today is a great news source. So just fill your mind with information from all these other resources.
Yeah, and like a great place to start is, I got to plug it, the Sherwin-Williams Social Media Guide. It's great for beginners. It's great to just brush up on some like basic tips, and you can get that through our website. You can get it by speaking to your rep, your local store manager. So there's lots of ways to reach that. There's another question that I wanted to get to that was put in beforehand, which was, we get this question a lot, actually. So one of the questions was, how can we partner or collaborate with Sherwin-Williams more? So, we love featuring our projects and your projects on social media, right? We're really proud of that. So if you were interested in having a chance for your content to be shared, all you have to do is when you're posting any of this great content, share your photo, share your projects, and then use the hashtag SWColorlove. and that will give you a chance to be featured on our pages. But then if you're looking for a more formal opportunity or more formal partnership, I believe we're going to put the email up on the screen, but you can email swinfluencer@edelman.com. So again, that's swinfluencer@edelman.com, and that's how we sort of start reviewing those types of partnerships.
You guys have no idea how cool it is that when Sherwin features somebody's project, that's like a huge badge of honor.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. So, okay, I think we've got time for a couple more questions. Let's see. So this is from Kelly. I'm super new to owning a business. When you first started, how did you get past the insecurity of having a lot of competitors, especially ones that can undersell you?
I don't think you ever pass that.
You don't
Try to block it out.
Data and feelings.
Data and feelings, there they are.
Feelings is every other painter out there is the enemy and they're the competition, and they're actively stealing food from your children by just owning a painting company. OG. It is not the case. So interestingly enough, gathering groups, the PCA, we can statistically prove based on economics, the number of gallons sold, the amount of paint stores, the amount of paint businesses, the amount of households in the United States, that in the residential repaint market at this state of the industry right now, there is no competition because the homeowner is vastly underserved by a professional home service. It's actually, sometimes we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the homeowner. It is very hard to get a very professional service for your home.
Yes. It's hard to get a callback.
It's hard to get anything. So honestly, the data and the feelings are, you may think that everybody's competition, but what you're doing is you're blaming an externality for maybe some things that you should be taking internally and fixing. And right now, one of the greatest benefits, like when you want to talk about American dream stuff, is there's really nothing stopping you. You're only limited by your ability to execute your business plan. So if you can just try that, you can have that feeling. If you just try that, you'll find that you will determine your own success.
I have a friend that says feelings are real, they're just not facts.
I like that.
Good one, right?
I like that.
All right. Last question. This is a good one. I want everyone to answer, but sort of quickly.
Okay.
This person says, I'm uncomfortable being on camera. None of us ever feel that way, right? How do I get used to this?
Practice. Practice. Again, like I said, you're going to have, if I pull out my phone and show you how many videos of myself I have, it's probably ridiculous, but it is that.
Yeah.
It's the comfort, it's you being in front of the camera and you getting that. You're still gonna get those sweaty hands because we do, right? But you know what is the more you do it, it's just like when you learn how to paint. You were so nervous with the brush and you like can't get that straight line. After using it for a few months, guess what? You had one of the straightest lines. So it's same thing.
You forgot you never knew.
Exactly. So consistency and just do it.
Just do it.
Just put it out there.
I would say, number one, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Just do it. If you're an introvert, it might really help to have a friend film you and have this friend ask you direct questions like, hey, what are you currently working on? Okay, what are you excited about? What are you learning about this project? So that will get you actually pumping valuable information out and just keep going with it.
I am that introvert. So honestly, yes, having someone there does really help you. But if you're just by yourself, shake it off. You know what I mean? It's never going to get out there if you don't do it. So repetition's key, and just try to block all the noise out as best you can and show up authentically. I can never say that word. Authentically. Be yourself. It's, people love you for you. So.
Yep.
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? Just start doing it, get the repetitions in, authenticity, and the hack for creating really good social media is if it's your passion, if what you're doing is your passion, it's super easy. So I could talk extemporaneously about oil primer or job costing for an hour and 45 minutes.
There you go.
Yes, you can.
Because of American history, not so much. So it's just find your passion.
Yeah, I think keep it real to you, and that will come through. So thank you all so much for being here and for helping us with our very first virtual social media conference at Sherwin-Williams. We hope that this was valuable and worth the time and effort. We really appreciate the engagement, the comments and questions. And for more information about social media tools from Sherwin-Williams, please, we have stores, 4,500 stores plus. Pop into a Sherwin-Williams store, talk to the store manager. Connect with your local sales rep. We're here to help. We're here to help you grow and be successful. You can always go online at sherwinwilliams.com as well. And thank you so much, all of you, for being here, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.